All right, what's up? Looks like I'm live. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another Juice Opinions. And happy Friday to those of you watching this live. Yeah, just kind of 20 minutes, 30 minutes ago, I was like, you know what? Let me do a Juice Opinions. I got a few things I want to talk about, and I didn't want to wait till Monday's podcast, and a couple of them I just wanted to get my thoughts. I didn't feel like debating this topic right now. Obviously, I'll be fine doing it later, but I wanted to get my take. So some of the things I'm going to talk about are I'm going to rank real quick, rank my last 5 game of the years in order, from first to fifth. I want to talk about just real quick some stupid NFT shit that just I don't really talk about that much. I just seen a tweet today, and I just don't know why that shit's still around. I want to talk about game music. Give my kind of my history with music in general. We had a very good conversation in the Juices Loose chat group about music and what's memorable and what's good, what isn't, and some of the ways we consume music and the types of music. So I want to talk about that, and then the main topic is game difficulty. There definitely is two sides to the topic. I don't think there's too many people like in the middle. It's just either strictly against optional game difficulty or you're for it. I'll get into that, but yeah. So we did the Juices Loose podcast for Game of the Year for 2021, and I only predicted 2 correct out of the other 5 guys' lists, and I was pretty disappointed because I thought I had a good take on what everybody's over the year been praising, and I was way off. So Clocked actually won our little mini game. He gets to pick somebody to and then choose a game, the next game they'll play. So we'll see who that is. But anyway, so my number 1 was Returnal. Spoilers if you haven't watched that. Last year it was Ori and the Will of the Wisps. The year before it was Resident Evil 2 Remake. The year before that was Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And then the year before that was Breath of the Wild. So for me, Shadow of the Tomb Raider would be number 5 out of those games. I put Ori and the Will of the Wisp at number 4. And then Resident Evil 2 would be number 3. And then Returnal would be number 2. And then Breath of the Wild would be number 1. And I feel really good about that list. I think, Breath of the Wild still, to this day, like, people are still finding shit. And, it's just such a great game that it's hard not to. It's, to not make that number 1. Returnal, it's fresh in my mind. Maybe as time passes, it would drop down, but I just love that game. And Resident Evil 2 Remake that's my favorite Resident Evil game. Might be blasphemy for some people. I absolutely can't wait, and I hope it's true that Resident Evil 4 Remake's coming. And I'm not gonna sit there and say that there's no chance it's gonna suck. But I have a good feeling about what Capcom's doing, and I would love a new take on that with amazing visuals, obviously, but also some refinements. I want to be able to move a bit while I'm aiming, like in Resident Evil 2 Remake. I don't have to be super fast strafing or anything, but just be able to move a little bit while aiming, and just get rid of some of the quirks from 2005 GameCube hardware. I'd be really excited for that. But then 4, I had Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I actually no longer count that as my game of the year for 2020 to myself, but technically that's the one. I don't have the right chat open either. What's up, Retro? it was the one I named Game of the Year, but honestly, Immortals is my 2020 Game of the Year. I put most of the time in 2021, and I absolutely loved it. And yeah, I'll get to the difficulty thing. One of the well, I'll get into that later. But yeah. Anyway, Immortals to me, I think I had like 25 hours in 2020 in the game, and then I have like 100 hours, almost 100 hours in 2021. Um, and then I got about 2 hours in this year. So that's definitely my game from 2020. So if I count that instead of Ori, then my list goes Breath of the Wild, Immortals, Returnal, Resident Evil 2 Remake, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So anyway, I was hoping a few more people would jump in before I started getting into any major topics. So the other thing is just this NFT fucking scam bullshit. Like all I know is a little bit of here and there. I see tweets. I hear people talk about it. Apparently, is it? I mean, is it just like crypto? I mean, why is there so much elect, uh, electricity consumption? I don't understand that. I guess I haven't looked into it enough. I know where all this consumption's coming from. Is it like on top of crypto and mining and all that? I hate the whole concept of mining for crypto. It's just such a fucking that's a scam to me. Um, and it's like what where's that processing power going to? You got warehouses full of graphics cards. People like me and my buddy, can't go out and buy a graphics card for their computer for Christ's sakes. My card I paid 280 for the Vega 64. It's going over $700 on eBay right now. If I sold the one I have, the Sapphire Nitro, I could get over $700 for it. But I have nothing to replace it with. The equivalent for $700 is like a card that's MSRP is at $299. That's what I get for a $700 card. Um, so all these graphics cards, all these computers running 24 hours a day for years, for mining. What the fuck is it mining? My theory is that whoever came up with this, they're just using that processing power for something for their own use, whether it's to make like this huge supercomputer or something. I mean, there's just something going on with it. I don't fucking know. And NFTs are just, oh man, I can't believe they haven't died yet. Everybody hates them that I see. It's only celebrities and people with money promoting this shit. That's how you know it's a scam. Not regular people aren't fucking promoting or talking about NFTs. It's just people uh, with money or some kind of influence. It just feels so like a pyramid scam. And I'll share a story. So back in 2005, my brother's friend bought a house, and he bought some stuff to do a home theater. Well, I was into that stuff, so I started helping him, and we became friends. We had a lot in common. He was older than me by like 8 years. We hung out all the time and did a couple theater jobs together. Well, anyway, he had some issues with alcohol, and he lost the house, and he needed something, to like give him hope, I guess. And he found this. It was called. They had a specific name for it. Leadership, something leadership. And he started telling me about it. And I was like, man, that sounds like a pyramid scam. I'm thinking, he's like, yeah, you got this group of people, and you all buy in, and then if you need a plumber, you know, they have people all over, so they'll find a plumber so you can trust, and it's part of a network, And I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. Well, then he's like, yeah, but there's these leadership books, and every week you buy them, and the more you buy, the more you put in, the more you can make if you sign people up for this program. I was like, oh, this is a pyramid scam. And I'm telling him, like, dude, this sounds like bullshit. And he's like, nope. He's like, I will, a year from now, when I have my car paid off and I buy a brand new whatever, because he had some financial issues. He's like, I'm gonna get all my debt cleared up, and I'm gonna have a brand new Mini Cooper, like off the lot in a year. Trust me. Well, it got to the point where a mutual friend of ours had his first son, his first baby, and he called him up and said, "Oh, I'd like to come see your kid and stuff. You know, congratulate you." He showed up. Well, first he didn't show up. He didn't meet the time he said he'd be there. And then he finally shows up. He brings some dude and he does a presentation on this leadership program. So he lied to my best friend, who he was friends with, saying he wanted to meet his son and congratulate him, and he forced this fucking presentation on him, trying to sell him on this shit. I that was like 2011. I was like, dude, like we can't hang out anymore. I'm sorry, we've been friends for 6 years or whatever. I can't hang out with you after that. Like, that's not something friends do to other friends or friends of friends. And I said, man, I can't see hanging out with you anymore. Plus, he got really religious at the time. And I was like, so turns out a year later, I found out he got out of that program. He didn't have his Mini Cooper. He didn't have his debt paid off. And it was just another one of the fucking same pyramid scams. And I don't know why people keep falling for that shit. Companies need to realize it's non-gamers who care about NFT shit. Gamers don't, so big names need to stop. Well, it's not just gamer. I guess it's all, for some reason, digital art seems to be like the target for this shit. I don't know why. It's just, and I was telling somebody about it, and I'm like, you know, there is an infinite number of copies of digital art. Digital music, it doesn't matter. There's no degradation from a copy of something digital. So there's infinite digital copies of everything that's been digitized. Infinite. So for you to just say, well, there's only 100, I'm selling 100 of these, quote unquote, you know, these copies. There no more will ever be made. I'm like, that's just make believe. That's just fake demand, fake supply bullshit. Like, that should be immediately outlawed. I don't know why, you know, I know why Congress and all these people are so slow to act. You can't just say, well, I drew this and there's only 100 copies digitally, like, and you can buy them. And I'm like, that's so stupid, because as soon as you get it, you can you could copy it onto a hard drive. You can copy on a flash drive. You can print it. Like, it's just so stupid. Now, if somebody was an artist and they show somebody a picture but it has a big old watermark on it, and you want like an actual, then pay somebody to have like the official art. And you would hope, and I'm sure people do this though, that they fucking give that away or post that online and people steal it. But at the same time, that's all it should be. Like, hey, I'm gonna send you a file with the full resolution, no watermark, if you want it for $10, or I'll send you a print. You know, like, that's how it should work. It's just so stupid. So I don't know, man. This fucking world, the power consumption for just crypto and now NFTs, like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this shit needs to just die immediately. But anyway, so enough about that. Let's talk about music for a while, because, well, the other thing I wanted to mention is today's Friday. So yesterday I went to a surgeon, and for the last like 6-7 years I've had like a bump behind my right ear, about right there, and it was like, started out like the size of an M&M under the skin, and doctor says, it's just like some fatty tissue, whatever, it's fine as long as it don't hurt. Well, I've, you know, fast forward like 5 years, and it had gotten pretty big, probably the size of like my thumbnail, and about the thickness of like an M&M, but bigger, maybe 3 M&Ms together. And was always messing with it, maybe even in podcasts if I went back and watched them. I'm sure at some point I was messing with it. But anyway, it started getting sore about a month ago, and my doctor referred me to, said it was a general surgeon. It was actually a plastic surgery facility. And so I went there for a consultation yesterday, and dude's like, Yeah, that's just a hair follicle gets clogged and just builds up, and like uh, he's like, well, I can take it off right now. I was like, oh shit, yeah, might as well. And so he poked me with the needle on the front side, well, closer to my ear, and it didn't. The needle didn't hurt that bad. He did about four. The sound wasn't great because it's right behind my ear. I get squeamish with certain things. Like I could cut my arm, I can cut my finger, be bleeding, and it doesn't bother me. But something with heads definitely affects me, and like I tend not to watch like any videos of surgery or anything like that. I've had a few instances of almost blacking out from, I don't know what it is. Nothing ever happened to me in my life. All of a sudden one day I just noticed that I was feeling queasy. Well, anyway, he gives me like four of the shots. I'm fine, not even thinking about it. He's like, all right, well, it should be numb enough. Let me know if you feel anything. And he cuts, and all of a sudden I felt everything. It's like, yeah, that hurts. That hurts. And I don't know if it's a sharp sudden pain, but the sound was really bad. This crunchy, wet sound. And I'm just like, I was like, all right, I should have told you. I was like, I get a little queasy with this stuff. I don't have to see it, but he's like, well, that's pretty common. He's like, it's right by your ear. So I'm like, honestly, I gotta lean forward or something. So I lift my knees. She put a wet towel on me. Like, take your mask off. And I had like a flannel, a thicker button up. And I'm like, I gotta take this shirt off. All right, do what you gotta do. So I take it off. As soon as that cool air hit me, I started feeling better. And he gave me two more shots of the numbing on the other side. And I was like, he started talking to me about football. And then next thing you know, oh, I'm done. I could feel him sewing it because it was like tugging on my head. Well, what had happened when it was mounting up, it stretched the skin. So there was like no hair follicle. So we had to cut that out and then pull it tight and stitch it up. And I was numb for like 9 hours. And the numbness went away. And it's definitely sore. It just sucks because I can't, it's almost on the back corner. So I had to sleep all night on my left side, and I didn't have a great night's sleep. And then you don't realize, but the skin on your scalp sketch. I mean, if I look too far to the left, I feel it tug. If I yawn, I feel it tug, and there's stitches there, and it almost felt like it split open a little bit from a yawn. So I can't laugh, I can't yawn really big, I can't turn to the left, can't reach up for certain things. It just, you'd feel that tugging. And I just I'm having some, I'm not like in major pain or nothing. It's just stings right now. And I just needed something to take my mind off it. So I was like, I'll do some streaming. So I don't know, I'm gonna be able to get my hair cut for a while either, because the stitches are there and I don't want them catching on with the buzzer. So yeah, so that's the first time I've had stitches since I was like 7 years old. And I guess I wasn't even thinking about it because, like I said, I wasn't planning on them doing it yesterday. So it just kind of happened. And now, like right now, it's stinging quite a bit. But there's nothing you can do, You just gonna have to make it through probably the next week or so, and get through it. So anyway, so video game music. So that's a topic that's come up a lot, and Clocked It, myself, Retro, Robert, really the main guys that have been discussing it. I don't want to misquote, so I apologize, but from my perspective, what Clocked It told me, he primarily listens to orchestrated like OST soundtrack music. Well, some of it's probably digital, I'm guessing, like game music. That's his primary music listening, is soundtracks, OST, original soundtracks. So I'm guessing mostly orchestrated, but also like I'm guessing direct to game music. Robert, he seems like he's pretty even with that, with regular music like pop and stuff, hip hop, and that. Retro, if you want to tell me what your breakdown is. For me, if it was a soundtrack, it was created to be a companion to a visual, whether it's a movie, TV series like Legend of Korra has amazing music. Um, Lord of the Rings, Last Samurai, like the ones I think of. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon when it comes to really good musical scores. Games, like Zelda, Final Fantasies, all those games, those are all made while they either looking at art for like concept art or actually movies. Like they're watching the edits and they're making the music. They work on the themes beforehand, but they put it all together while watching the movie. So, long story to get to this point, I don't listen to soundtrack music because to me, listen to a score of like Lord of the Rings without the visual is like watching the movie without the score. Like those, they're two parts of a whole, and I don't separate them. I can't. I'm not sitting in my car listening to, Legend of Korra's amazing soundtrack. When I watch the show, I absolutely love it. I bought the CD, and that's kind of that in Lord of the Rings, Crouching Tiger, kind of within a few years apart. That's when I realized, like, I'm driving my car. I had an iPod hooked up back in the day, and I'd be driving, and all of a sudden, music from Last Samurai come on, and they're like, and I'm just like, yeah, this is stupid. I skip it, and I just ever since then I cannot listen to a score without the visual. Now I can watch an orchestra concert and really appreciate that, like the Game Awards 2017, for example. They had a orchestra, and it had a really great cello player who did one of my favorite orchestra concerts is Hans Zimmer live in Prague. Anyway, I was like, that's awesome. I love watching them perform it. The Sonic orchestra, I didn't really feel that. I didn't feel the energy of that. Everybody was all like professional in tuxes and just reading their music. That kind of loses me. I want some passion there. I want to see like a more casual side of that, I guess. That's why I like the Hans Zimmer one so good, because he's got like guitarist from Incubus, this awesome drummer, this awesome bass player, um, violins and cello up front, and it's just like a rock show almost. So anyway, I can watch that, and I've watched the Hans Zimmer a couple times. I'll skip different tracks, but I can't sit and just listen to like the Zelda 25th anniversary music like once or twice just to hear it, but without a visual I can't do it. I don't know what it is. Tell me if you guys are different, if you feel the same, because to me, like especially like the Lord of the Rings one, like the dun 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 dun, when they're like showing the Uruk-hai being created in Isengard, like those two go hand in hand. You separate one from the other, for me, it just doesn't work. I would never watch a movie without the score, and I can't listen to the score without the movie. So that's where I am. So with that in mind, and just to kind of go over what music I do listen to, I have what's called is it eclectic? So I'm gonna showcase right now, because I'm not embarrassed by anything. I love, you love what you love. A good song's a good song. I don't give a shit who it is or what you guys think of it. So a lot of these I only have one song each, like one song I only have Adele one song, Hello, so it's not like whole albums, but I mean from Adele, Alice in Chains, you got Ariana Grande, you got Blink-182, Breaking Benjamin, one of the best hard rock bands. Buck Cherry's awesome. Chevelle, my favorite band from probably about 2000 to 2005. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 full albums. Counting Crows, Creed, Dave Matthews Band, Deftones, my current, one of my all-time favorite bands. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 albums. Depeche Mode. You got some country Dirks Bentley. We got Disturbed. Dua Lipa is probably one of my favorite artists right now. She's like a dance pop artist, but it's just thumps really hard in my theater room. So, a couple M&Ms, Eric Church. We got Fall Out Boy, Foo Fighters, Florida Georgia Line. Like Green Day, Godsmack, Imagine Dragons, Incubus, John Party. He's a good country artist. Jonas Brothers, only one song. A few Katy Perry's, Justin Timberlake, Korn. I was a big Korn fan in the late 90s, early 2000s. Lady Gaga, Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park, Marilyn Manson. I actually have like 120 songs from Marilyn Manson. I mean, that's the best industrial rock in my opinion. Metallica, Meghan Trainor. I mean, Muse, Nickelback. Nickelback has good music. I don't care what you say. Just to see the vast difference here. So, Nirvana, classic. Old Dominion, pretty good country. Paramore, one of my favorite bands. Their self-titled album is one of my favorite rock songs of all time. Now, it's amazing. They got Rihanna, Queensryche, Puddle of Mud, Red Hot Chili Peppers, like one Selena Gomez, Sia, Shinedown, fucking Taylor Swift. I think's the best songwriter of my lifetime. Like her, don't like her, don't matter to me. I don't care. I think she's amazing. Some of the catchiest tunes of all time. The catchiest, like, songs, but also with a lot of depth to them. Like, so Weeknd, Tupac, 311, Tool, Tove Lo, U2, Volbeat. I mean, so I don't have any hip hop in there really, and I don't have hip hop or rap like R&B. Not a lot of country. No real oldies or anything. So yeah, that's the kind of music I listen to. I have like 2,000 songs on a USB in my truck, and I have an iPod still using Bluetooth. In my theater room, I crank up 2-channel music, and like it could be the Eagles, it could be, like I said, Marilyn Manson, it could be Taylor Swift, a couple Dr. Dre, Eminem. I do have a little bit of that. It just doesn't matter to me. If it sounds good to me, if I like the song, I'll pick it up. So the point of that is just to tell you, that's 99.9% of my music comes from. Everything else is from watching movies and playing games. That's the other music. Man, I start talking about music and 4 people drop out. That's real cool. So that's my taste, my upbringing. I've always liked music. I went through a span about 10 years though where all I listened to was hard rock, and now I've gotten out of that, and I just listen to all kinds of stuff. And I don't like I said, I'm not ashamed. You might not like some of the stuff I mentioned, but it don't matter to me. You don't have to like what I like. I don't have to like what you like. So one of the key things for music for me is my favorite songs of all time all have one thing in common. And that is the first time I heard them, I didn't think twice about it. It didn't stand out to me one way, shape, or another. All the ones that immediately are catchy and jump out and like, oh wow, that's awesome. Those ones all fade to the back because there's a reason they're catchy. It's usually because they're just trying to be, to make a really catchy song is because you want to have a hit song. You want to have a popular song. The songs that hit the best for me, that a song from freaking 1992 that came out from Pearl Jam called Black. It's one of my all-time favorite songs. And I've listened to it probably 1,000 times at this point. The first time I heard that song, it did nothing for me. Like, I didn't even think twice about it. Um, the first time I mentioned that Paramore song, now I didn't even like that song the first time I heard it. One of my favorite pop songs of all time is Aha's "Take on Me." I've been hearing that song for years and just thought, oh, whatever. And then I heard a live performance where they like slowed it down, and it was like, holy shit, that song's actually got some meaning to it. Like, and it hit me. And now it's like one of my favorite songs of all time. Like, so for me, if it's catchy, if it immediately jumps out at you, that's not usually not a good thing. I mean, it could still be a fine song. That's not like I hate songs that immediately liked, but they tend to just kind of get pushed to the back. And the songs with the real heart, the real gripping lyrics, usually you have to listen to them over and over and over, and then you'll catch something. Like there's an album I bought from the band Chevelle, and that's kind of a shit album. And then I just had it in my library, and every once in a while a song would play. Oh, that's not bad. And then a couple, maybe even a year later, I'm like, damn, this song's actually really good. And then I listen to it and like, man, this album's good. So for me, the best music is the music that hits you later on, that isn't immediately good, or doesn't just immediately say, "Oh my God, I'm singing along to this." Like 5 minutes later, like what's that one from Walk the Moon, Dance with Me or whatever. Like immediately you hear that song, oh yeah, you're tapping your toes, but it doesn't really have much substance to it when you think about it. It's just catchy. So I feel the same way about orchestrated music or game music or soundtrack music. Now, when I played Kana, there's a couple songs that stood out to me, like, oh, this is. But it was just because I wasn't expecting that game to have good music. And I was like, holy shit, this game actually has legit music. So I couldn't hum you one note from that, but it stood out enough for me to actually record and upload it to, I don't know if it was YouTube or Twitter. But so here's where, and I'm pretty sure I got this right with Clocked It. If you're watching this, sorry if I missed something. You said that just hearing something from God of War, and it's forgettable because it's just epic orchestrated music, and it doesn't, and you don't remember it, and you can't hum it, or you can't. There's nothing about it that stuck in your head. And I would argue that almost no music sticks in your head unless you hear it on repeat. That's to me why the Legend of Zelda theme and the new or Mario Brothers theme is stuck in your head, or you can always hum it, is because it played throughout the entire game. Legend of Zelda's been using that main theme up until Breath of the Wild, but it's still in there. Like Link Between Worlds, A Link to the Past, the original NES game. Those games, you're just beat over the head with that. Yes, it's good, but it's memorable because you've heard it so much. Like, whatever game you play the most, you're going to know that music. Like, I can hear the Immortals title screen in my head because I have 120 hours in that game. Is that music better than the music in Ori done by the same person? No, Ori has better music, but I know that better because I have 120 hours in the game. So for me, that's not a qualifier for if it's good. Good music is just if I'm hearing it and I'm like, yes, this is, I'm feeling this. Like if I'm playing a game and the boss battle is going on and the music's just like, yeah, that's good music. I might not even remember it 5 minutes later. I wouldn't be able to hum it, but it was still good music to me. Now, if I listened to it over and over and over, then I could kind of break it down. All right, this song, yeah, I liked it, but it's not as good as I thought, So upon further listening, that's when you can really say that, hey, this song's definitely a step above this song. Now, if you listen to it once or you played the game once, I don't think you can really just say it definitively like, yeah, that music wasn't that good because it wasn't memorable. This is just my opinion, because memorable only comes from listening to it over and over. I don't think anything's memorable on the first time when it comes to music. That's like the Lord of the Rings. I mentioned that dun dun dun. I didn't notice that. That didn't hit me till maybe my third time watching the movie when I had it on DVD. Like that, I was like at home, like, oh wow, that's good. Like when I was sitting there the first time watching the theater, I didn't think twice. Like I'm just engrossed in the movie. You know, the music just kind of background noise for me on like a first viewing. And with gaming, I feel the same way. To me, if music doesn't stand out, that's usually a good thing because more often than not, it's only standing out because it's bad, or it's standing out because it's catchy. And necessarily, you know, I'd rather have catchy stand out than bad, like Yoshi's Crafted World. That was just so bad, it just stood out. But if the music's fine, it's good, it's doing its job, I really shouldn't be noticing it. That's how I feel about it. Obviously, everybody's gonna be different. I don't listen to that. I don't listen to game music like in my car or anywhere outside of playing the game. So, like I said, I can't really break it down to like, hey, this is why this is great and this isn't as good because I'm not listening to it over and over and over. But I have a feeling that even, let's say, something that's memorable that I don't listen to is like Bayonetta 2, like one of the couple of the main themes. There's like a pop, like a Japanese pop song or something in there. I can't sing a one thing from it. I just know I liked it. That stood out to me more than like when I played like Astral Chain. I'm not gonna say Astral Chain had bad music. It just there wasn't anything that stood out to me as memorable. But that doesn't mean it has bad music. I just wasn't that into that game. Played through it like 20 hours, whatever I have into it. So I didn't really listen enough to know. Like it must have been fine because it didn't stand out to me as bad. So that's all I can say about it. So I don't know. This is definitely going to be a bigger discussion, I think, on the Juices Loose podcast. Um, and I just feel like, I don't know. I'm just like, if I like it in the moment, or if it doesn't stand out to me as bad, that's fine. Like Control, honestly, I couldn't even tell you if there's music in the game. If I had to bet my life on it, I would lean towards there was music in the game, but I know there's a song in the game at that cool part where you're going through the like the maze and all this trippy shit happening. But I couldn't tell you if there's a score in that game. I still love the game, like Resident Evil 2. I'm sure there was music, but it just doesn't. Music is so secondary in a video game that most of the time I don't even think about it. Like Bowser's Fury, I was really excited for that though because I love that music from the trailer. I get the game, I crank it up, and then I'm like, oh wait, this is low quality, and it just like falls completely flat. There's no bass. The sound quality was bad, and it really went out of my sales. It's still a cool song though. I mean, I can't take that away from it. The rest of the music in the game was like, for a Mario game, yeah, I'm not really feeling any of it. I couldn't tell you. I just know one point where I was like, yeah, this music isn't that special for a Mario game. Like for other games, it would probably be fine. But for a 3D Mario game or Mario game in general, the standards are very high in my opinion. So I don't know. That's all. I'm just kind of rambling. Like there's some very memorable music. Most of my songs I can hum end at the Super NES, or most of it's NES and Super NES, because that's the era where it just played the same song over and over and over. Like how do you forget the main theme from World 1 of Super Mario World, or I can hear the Super Mario Kart music in my head for a little bit, but I can't hum it because it's a little complex. I can hear the opening to it though, and there's a lot like that. But as far as like actually humming it out, do 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 do, like that's easy. Legend of Zelda. I'd probably because I'm putting myself on the spot. There's some songs like I don't. Right now I'm drawing a blank on it. I know I'd be able to give me 10 seconds or a minute and it's gonna hit me, but Tecmo Bowl, Contra, like that stuff stuck with me because that's all you heard over and over and over. Or Tecmo Bowl, it was the same song Every game was the same song. The opening of each quarter or half was the same song. You know, it's only because that's played on repeat do I remember that. So as soon the later generations we go, the less music I remember. I can hear Phandrama or Magmore Caverns perfectly from Metroid Prime right now, but I've heard it recently. I think Samus Returns and even Dread might have had a version of it. Luigi's Mansion, that's all you hear throughout the game. Like, that's all you heard the whole game. They just played the same song over. Sometimes it was slower. Some you know. So that's why it stuck in my head, because it's just bombarded with it. But Odyssey, I mean, I can hear parts of the main theme, but I couldn't tell you. I mean, if somebody said, "Here's $1 million, hum anything other than the main theme from Mario Odyssey," I wouldn't be able to. Like, that's just how my brain works. And like I said, I don't really pay much attention to it, and I don't listen to it outside the game, so that's why it doesn't stick in my brain. So, all right. With that, let's get into this game difficulty. I know this one's going to be controversial to some. All I know is there are definitely game difficulty gatekeepers in the world. I knew one. He used to be on the podcast, Derek Steelfox. He was just up in arms about the possibility of Dark Souls 2 having a difficulty, or 3, whatever it was, right around the time of 3D World 2013 era. I can't believe they would do that. What about the leaderboards? I'm playing it on hard, and this person's gonna be atop me on the leaderboard, and they played it on easy. And I was like, just have separate leaderboards, or don't have leaderboards for anything other than the default. If somebody plays on easy, they don't have there's not on the leaderboard. Like, what the fuck's the problem? Oh, the white Tanuki suit in Mario, that's ridiculous. Why would they do that? Blah, 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 blah. Don't use it. I never used it once. I have 5 blinking stars above my save file. I never once used the white Tanuki suit. I don't even know what it does, other than I know it made you invisible. I don't remember if it was available on the last World Champions Road, but don't use it. I don't understand why you care so much for something you won't use because somebody else can use it. To me, that's elitist mindset. Oh, Dark Souls, that's a game, that's a gamer's game, that's a hard game that I can say I beat and you didn't. That's what the normal difficulty's for. Have a fucking, take a screenshot. Use your phone camera. Hey, I beat Dark Souls on normal difficulty, or hard, if it has a hard mode. Why do you care if somebody of different skill level and less passionate about that kind of game wants to still experience Dark Souls? Because I mean, it has the setting is awesome, but they don't want to be so frustrated and ridiculous difficulty, like. And I know Clockton and I debated this many, many times. Make them. Okay, so you have your default difficulty, like I said, all your leaderboards, everything's tied to that. Now, give me an option to play it on easier. All you do is the enemies do 20% less damage. And their hit points are reduced by 20%. Then the next one down, make it 40 and 40%. Instead of having 10 enemies on screen, have 6, have 7, have 5. What does that change for you? That's the question. And I'm just speaking in general. Anybody who's against game difficulty option. What does it change for you that I want to play like Sekiro and I want to have a more enjoyable experience? Now, Returnal, my game of the year, got so hard at a point I was going to give up. but I stuck with it. I looked up a few little like tricks, not tricks, but like one guy was like, "Hey, the fuck, what are they called? These humanoid creatures. If you go up a level, it takes them like 10, 15 seconds to get up there. They don't follow you up there right away, so you can get some breathing room." That one tip made all the difference in the world. But still, the game's hard. I beat it. I felt really rewarded when I got past that section. I had to get better at the game. I get that. But I almost quit. And it wouldn't have been my game of the year. I would have never finished it. Ended up being my game of the year. But I almost quit because of how hard it was. And yes, it was rewarding. But what if there's somebody who plays it for an hour and is like, this is too hard, and gives up? Now they're missing out on one of I think the best Sony PlayStation exclusive ever come out. I don't care if they play it. Give the enemies half the health. Make it easy mode. I don't give a shit. You know, like if that's how they want to play it, let them play it. You know, like what difference does it make? To me, I don't care. I don't care that the white Tanuki suit's in 3D World. It's still my favorite 3D Mario game. Like I never used it. Now maybe I would have been tempted to drop down difficulty in Returnal, but the best part of the game was still there, you know. Yeah, I lost that rewarding factor of overcoming something. I'm not saying that get rid of the difficulty altogether. I'm not saying remove the difficulty, make it easy for everybody. Same with what all started this, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I said, man, just please, God, have some level of difficulty in that game, some level of challenge, so that I can enjoy the game because it looks great. I'm not saying get rid of the easy stuff. Like here's one of the other things, not just difficulty options, dynamic difficulty. Nintendo is the masters of this. Mario games. Oh, just get to the end of the level in 3D World. Oh, that's easy. Well, in some levels, less easy, but beat Bowser. Oh, just play the game, beat Bowser. That can be done. Get to the end of each level, beat Bowser. It's not that hard. But if you want to go to the next Bowser, and then you want to do the special worlds, that's fucking hard. If you want to get 3 green stars in all the levels with a timer, then it starts to get more challenging. So, in the same level, you have easy, just run to the flagpole. You have medium, run to the flagpole, find, maybe grab a green star or 2. And then harder, get all 3 green stars and the stamp, and then get to the top of the flagpole with every character. Now, maybe not with every character, just get to the top of the flagpole. Now that's a challenge. Oh shit, I did everything, but at the very end I messed up my jump and I didn't get to the top of the flagpole. There's a reason to replay the level. So for me, that's where the difficulty comes in. On top of the additional levels, different worlds that are hard worlds, like Yoshi's Woolly World. It had that really tough level at the end of each world that you had to unlock. Same with Donkey Kong. What were those called? You get all the Kong letters in the world. And was it puzzle pieces? I think it was puzzle pieces. You got a really challenging level with no checkpoints or anything. Yeah, the base game was pretty difficult at times, but it was made more difficult by getting all the Kong letters, finding all the puzzle pieces, and still beating the level. Like that was a little too extreme for a lot of people, but if you just want to play the game and get to the end and see the boss, you can just play through the level. So Nintendo just has that on lock. That's why I'm surprised that Kirby, one of Nintendo's biggest mascots at this point, most recognizable, with Mario, Pikachu, I think Kirby's like in the conversation for top 3. They haven't nailed that. It's like the base gameplay is so easy I don't know if it's because Kirby can just float everywhere. The levels design, from my experience with the games I've played, hasn't been super tough. Finding the stuff isn't that hard. It's just like, oh shit, I missed one. You know, I'll play the level again, but I'm not. For me, Kirby's kind of weird because I'm not that engrossed in the core gameplay. So replaying a level is different than replaying a Mario level, which is just fun for me. But at the same time, it's not challenging just to find that gem or Yoshi. It's like it got difficult. You got to keep your health up and get to the end with full health. That made it really tough in Yoshi's Woolly World. And for some, that might have been frustrating or not fun difficulty. For me, the same thing with Galaxy had those what are they called, the comet levels, where you couldn't take one hit. You took one hit and you had to start over. That's a challenge that I want to take on. Some people won't. Galaxy's another great example. You can beat Bowser at like 60 stars, 50 or 60, and the first 60 stars are relatively easy, and the average person, a new gamer, can enjoy Super Mario Galaxy, beat Bowser, and feel good about themselves. Or you can be like me or Robert. You can get all 120 stars with Mario, then do 120 stars with Luigi, which is pretty damn tough because of the way he controls, and then do the last bonus level. Like, that's dynamic difficulty. There is no easy, medium, hard, nightmare in Mario games, but they have built in. Mr. True, I've always been a firm believer in more options in games. Who gets mad at options that they don't use? I mean, people do. I know this isn't just one person, so I'm not just talking to one person here. I've heard it before. Let the developers develop the game they want. That's fine. But when there's so many examples of ways to give difficulty options or dynamic difficulty, you're just kind of at that point, you're just the developers being stubborn or lazy. If you can't come up with a way to make the difficulty have options or be dynamic, like, oh, well, that's the point of the game. Super Meat Boy, that's the point of the game, is that it's hard. Find a different way to make it hard. Find a way to make it hard for some that want it to be hard, and others who just want to play a game and get through it. There's definitely examples where I'm going to be like, all right, you're right. You got me there. Like that. Like, what's the point of Super Meat Boy if it's easy? Then it's just a platforming game, I guess. That's kind of, I would give that one, I would hear that debate, and, I'll give you some points there. Bloodborne. What's wrong with just having the enemies do 20% less damage and have 20% less hit points? Like, what's the negative to having someone who's not going to be as engrossed into the game play the game because it looks awesome, everybody likes it? I don't know. It's not a perfect across the board, but let me give you a couple examples. I use these in our group chat. Take Mario Kart. All right. Take out 150 and 100cc. Release the game, just 50cc only. Super Mario Kart back in the day, it probably would have done all right. But do you think we'd still be getting Mario Karts if that's all it was? Where an average gamer is going to be lapping every race. They're going to be lapping like the last couple carts to get first place. Like, do you really think Mario Kart would be the franchise it is today, the highest selling racing game of all time, if it just had the 50cc mode? Now, I'm glad the 50cc mode there is there for beginners, for young people. Like my buddy's kid started out 50cc, now he's at 100 or 150, he's like 8. I'm not saying take that away, and I play it. Every new Mario Kart game, I start at the 50cc, and I, half asleep, can get 3 stars on all the cups. There's no challenge to it whatsoever. It's boring as fuck. There's no drama. There's no stress. There's really no fun. But I do it. 100cc. There's a few races I might get hit with a blue shell and I'll have to I got to redo that cup. Get to 150cc, now you're talking like that's challenging to get 3 stars. 200cc was even more ridiculous. But the point is, if you take away the 50cc, or you take away only have the 50cc, you're going to lose a huge part of your audience. On the same note, if you take away the 50 and 100 and only be 150, you're going to lose half your audience. I mean, there's no way to prove it, but I still want to say that's a fact. That game works because of how many different skill level people can play and enjoy the game. They added the antenna to the deluxe that keeps you on the track. Did anybody go back? Did I ever complain about that? Ever? No. To me, that made sense because I've seen kids who can't hold controllers try to play Mario Kart. They want to play it. Now they can. It's an entry point for them. And then I would hope if your kid's playing it and you see them lapping every character and winning every race at 50cc, I'd hope we would say, hey, try 100cc. If you're bored, if you're getting bored with the game, or if you're winning all the time, that's not a good lesson to learn. Try a harder difficulty, because just having everything easy, that's not a good lesson. So Mario Kart has difficulty options. Forza Horizon 5, for the races it does, but for what I consider the meat and potatoes of the game, the open world, there's no difficulty slider for Forza Horizon 5's the open world stuff. The jumps, like the danger signs where you jump to see how much distance, the speed traps. Dark Souls needs an easy mode. I just think it needs options. It doesn't have to be easy. Just make it, like I said, make it be 20% less damage they do to you, and their hit points drop by 20 each time you go lower. And you could even make it harder for some ridiculous people. I see there's no downside to Dark Souls having options. But anyway, getting back to Forza Horizon 5. I'm driving around the open world. Like I said in the Game of the Year podcast, to me the races are like battles in an RPG. I do the races, I level up, unlock some cars or whatever, you get the wheel spin if you get first. The majority of my time in Forza Horizon is driving around, doing the stunt, the danger signs, the speed traps, finding the signs to brake. There's no difficulty there. I can just drive from race to race and whatever, think nothing of it. Or you can make your own game out of it, and you can say, all right, I'm going to go cross country, and if I see something cool, I'm going to go do that instead, so there's no difficulty there. But the races themselves, the game actually told me, hey, you're winning most of the races. Do you want to bump up the difficulty? Yep. Instantly click yes. Next race was a little more challenging. 5 races later, you're winning every time. Do you want to bump up the difficulty? Yes, I do. That was amazing. A, that's an awesome feature. And B, the races have difficulty options, but the main game doesn't. But you can still make it more difficult. Well, I need 3 stars on this danger sign, and there's nothing I'm doing that can get it. Well, find a car that's quicker, or find a different route so you can get your speed up. That's how you can make a challenge out of something. Like Metroid, for example. There's no difficulty slider, but you can choose to skip certain power-ups and fight bosses with no E-tanks and no missile, whatever you can skip, or the final boss. I was missing 2 E-tanks and then 2 of the 2 that are built from the parts, so I was missing 7 of the parts. I tried fighting the boss. I lost, multiple times. You know what? Let me go get my health built up. I build my health up and I destroyed them. I didn't even lose half health. So in a way, that's kind of a dynamic difficulty right there. Um, Breath of the Wild, I mean, probably the best example of what I would call dynamic difficulty. For me, I got all the divine beasts. I had the guardian gear fully upgraded, and the hero tunic, the regular outfit, fully upgraded. The master sword, I went and took down Ganon. I just cleaned house at Hyrule Castle. I just destroyed everything in my path. Took down Ganon like he was nothing. And it felt right to me because I had earned that right to beat him that easily. I'm the hero. I'm fully upgraded. Full hearts. Well, yeah, the first time I beat him, I didn't have full hearts. But after I went and did 120 shrines, then I beat him again. And just destroyed him. And I felt good about that because, and sometimes you just want to win first try. Now, there's other people who did one divine beast or none. 2 divine beasts. They went in there, took all their clothes off with Link, and used a fucking base sword and just parried with their shield to hurt them. Now, to me, that is dynamic difficulty. You play it how you want to play it. If it's not rewarding for you to upgrade all your equipment and just beat them easily, you want a challenge, go do it. Strip off all the gear, use weak swords, low level shields, and beat them that way. Props to you, man. Like, seriously, props to you. I respect that, but that's not how I want to believe it or how I want to play it. So play it your way. Now, not every game can have dynamic difficulty like that. Like Immortals, it's an open world game very similar to Zelda, but it has a difficulty slider. And what that does, to me, is made the combat go from, it's okay, I'm just hitting buttons, not thinking much about it, to, holy shit, I gotta pay attention, I gotta strategize, I gotta take out these flying guys first because they're wrecking me, avoid the big Cyclops because he kills me in one hit. And now the combat is like fully engaging. I mean, I begged Robert to play it on hard mode. He just wouldn't do it. I'm just like, just trust me. Trust me. I have 100 hours in this game. Trust me, the higher difficulty, it makes combat so much more engaging. And he wouldn't do it. And that's fine. You don't have to. I was really selling it, I thought, but it didn't go through. But I played it on my second playthrough on Nightmare. Now, that was even more challenging, but your character, you get all your moves from the previous, whatever you were upgraded to. I didn't have everything maxed, but it made me want to right away because it was really hard. And I actually got a little bored towards the end because every chest is surrounded by difficult enemies, and I was like, man, it's taking me 10 minutes. I'm trying to get all the chests in the game, and it takes me 10 minutes to clear out these enemies, so I actually dropped the difficulty for that, because at that point I had done everything else in the game. But that's a very Breath of the Wild-like game, but it doesn't have the physics. It doesn't have, these different ways to encounter enemies. Like you can't like throw a metal or like metal box up in the air, freeze it, and then wait for the Yiga clan guy to transform and then have it drop down and kill him. Like, you can't do anything like that in Immortals, so it's not nearly as dynamic. So what they added was the difficulty options, and it worked. But I would argue that the default difficulty was a little too easy. Plus, your health regenerates on normal fully over time. On hard, only one slot. There's like your health bar is made up into, let's say you start out with 3, and then you get 4, and then you get 5, and then you get 6. So it only fills up one of those blocks without healing. And then on Nightmare, it doesn't do it at all. So and plus the enemies are tougher, they take more damage, and they deliver harder hits. So I don't know. I think that's the way to go. Some examples of games I just stopped playing because they're just too easy. Kirby's Epic Yarn. It's like, I'm like, what the fuck's the point? And I said this to the guys, you know, and I believe this in a platformer. If it's like really easy, it's not worth playing. To me, it's not worth playing. It's like, to me, a game that's easy, or if it's the game's designed for you to like not have to do much, it's not worth playing. It's not a video game in the sense of that's why I play games. Like, it's obviously a video game, but if I'm just holding right, jumping occasionally, and you get to the end, like that's like, to me, is about as engaging as pressing play to watch a movie. Like, so if it's a platformer and it's really easy, to me it's not worth playing. Now, the same can be said for unfairly difficult, for like ridiculous like enemy placements and all that. To me, that's not fun to play either. So there's got to be a middle ground, or let me choose what difficulty I want. Ninja Gaiden, the original NES game, some of the most bullshit enemy spawning. Yeah, you can learn a rhythm and you can avoid it, because if you stop sometimes, they're nonstop and there's nothing you can do. It's part of, you know, the limitations of the hardware, game design. Everybody was beginning back then. You know, everyone's learning. That's not fun to me. Cheap enemy placement and like ridiculously long health bars and stuff like that. That's not fun either. It's for a different reason, because I feel like that's wasting my time, because it's like, am I gonna have to play this for an hour just to beat this one enemy because he constantly hits me with bullshit? Like, you know, yeah, I gotta get better and I'll learn, and then, but it's usually the one, like games that have enemies or boss fights like that, it's usually one of the times you beat them, they he or she, whatever the boss enemy is, does something, doesn't do like their main move, or gets stuck for somewhere and you can do some quick damage. Something usually happens that's just, all right, that's the only way I got through that. I never want to play that again. So if it's too easy, it's not worth playing. If it's too hard, I get bored that way too, because like, what the fuck, guys? Like, seriously. So yeah, you could say, well, they can just make it medium difficulty. Well, for some people, medium's gonna be way too easy. For others, it's gonna be way too hard. I just don't see the negative there to giving the option. Like, I don't know. You know, I've never made a game, so I don't know how I'd feel if I was a game developer. But you know, like, what was the one, Tearaway? I only played like an hour and a half into that game. Yeah, there's a couple spots where I fell or whatever, but for the most part, it's just, you just keep moving forward, and you're not gonna really have to stop for much. Everything's kind of laid out for you. It's, you know, yeah, I had to find a couple things towards the end of my playtime, kind of area opened up, and then I had to like find something. But if it's just like a foregone conclusion that I'm just holding up, jump a few times, and I'm gonna get to the end of that level or whatever, that to me defeats the point of playing a game. So I know this is kind of a separate topic, but so the main reason I play video games and give my time to the video game, as a huge movie fan, as a dedicated theater room, the main difference, the difference is, the reason I'm playing a video game instead of watching a movie at any given point is because in the game, I'm in control for one, and it's challenging me in a way that watching a movie doesn't. You know, watching a movie, you're like, oh, trying to figure stuff out, or you're trying to, you know, empathize with characters and all that. But in a game, I'm trying to overcome stuff, whether it's a puzzle, whether it's a challenge. To me, a video game needs to be as far away from watching a movie as possible, and that becomes when I have move sets, ways I can move my character, ways I can play it the way I want to play it versus somebody else. Like, for example, 3D Mario games. You have the single jump, double jump, triple jump, side jump, crouch backflip, long jump, wall jump, spin jump. So you got, I got to get up there. Well, this person goes up here, single jumps all the way up. The other person perfectly times a triple jump, spins at the top, grabs the ledge, climbs up. The other person can wall jump. One little section can be played, I don't know the number of times, different ways you can get up there. 5, 10, 20, whatever. Astro's Playroom. Oh, there's something I gotta get? Okay, well, I gotta either single jump my way up and maybe hover, or maybe there's a little thing that will slingshot me up there. Most of the time, there's only one way to get to where you need to go. Almost every time. I felt that way about, Kirby games. I felt that way about, some levels in Yoshi. I gotta give Sonic credit. They always usually have the branching path system. But the games where it's just like there's one way to get up there. It could be challenging. It can be a fun game, but it's never gonna reach the heights of a 3D Mario experience if there's only one way to get up there. Like, I know Clock that used this example. I completely agree. In God of War, there's a spot. There's like a chain, like a bucket or something, and I got to throw an axe. Throw the axe, it goes right through it. You have to like go to a certain spot, hit triangle, and then he cuts it or whatever. I forget what happened. There's only one solution. Why can't I throw my axe? Why can't you? In Breath of the Wild, I can shoot it with an arrow, and that's the difference. And this kind of goes into difficulty, but it's also the other part of just games being easy or hard is that there's engaging things to do. While I got a control in my hand, I want to be able to do things. So the reason 3D Mario games and even 2D Mario games are considered Mario's such a popular character and the games always score so high is that they're dynamic, not just in the difficulty, but in the way you can accomplish the objective. It's like, in Super Mario 64, first level, you got to go, is it Babamam or whatever, the big guy, knock him off. To get up there, there's so many, not as many as, the example I gave, but there's like 3, 4, 5 different ways you can get up there. You can take the path they choose, or you can cheat and get up the slope by jumping. There's a bunch of shortcuts you can take if you really use the move set. Instead of running all the way around, you get kind of close to the top, then you can do a side flip to a wall jump to a spin and get up there. Metroid Prime 1 and 2 has different modes. Yeah, those had different difficulty. Imagine Mario having a single jump in a 3D game. Exactly. So yeah, I've moved kind of on past the difficulty, and now I'm talking about engaging gameplay. So difficulty aside, if the gameplay's not fun, then it doesn't matter if it's hard or easy. So they kind of go hand in hand. It's got to be a fun game. It's got to be an engaging game. For me, I'm not going to be sitting back. If my controller's sitting on my leg and turns off, then that's not really a good game for me. Like Metal Gear Solid 4 is one of the worst examples. Like 30-minute cutscenes, like one of the worst games. But yeah, Mario with just a single jump, you can play it that way. Like the guy who played Galaxy or Odyssey by not hitting the jump button but using the Cappy to jump move, which takes way more talent, way more skill. Beat the whole game utilizing Cappy. You throw Cappy, hold him, and you run over him, you automatically jump. Retro would say you can beat the game without jumping. Completely a lie. He says it all the time. It's a complete lie. You can beat the game without hitting the jump button, but you still have to jump. You can't beat the game without Mario jumping. But anyway, that dude beat the whole game using Cappy as a jumping point. Like, that's dynamic difficulty. Like, if you take away that one move where Cappy, you auto jump off Cappy, that person can't make that video, which is probably better for me because I don't have to listen to Retro keep saying a lie. But that's where the gameplay can be engaging. So it's not as much at that point. It's really tied hand in hand with difficulty, because that's a way that there's dynamic difficulty in Odyssey, because you can play it that way. You can play it where you can use the dive, throw cappy, bounce off, dive move. I don't know what that's called, to get stars that you were supposed to just hit a button, ground pound a button, make blocks appear and go get it. Or you can just do, dude, I just said it, without hitting the jump button. Just say it right for once in your life. Just say it truthfully, instead of always adding that little retro lie to what you say. You can beat it without hitting the jump button. You cannot beat it without jumping. Period. End of story. There's no discussion. So I know you like your little, let's talk about Days Gone. You want to talk about games? Let's talk about Days Gone. Let's talk about there's 0 glitches in the game, according to Retro. There's 0 glitches. Even though there's hundreds of glitches. There's only 0 because whatever. Anyway, dynamic difficulty is kind of the same as dynamic gameplay. They go hand in hand. Like Astro's Playroom has some spots where you're going to die. But because it's so basic with the moves, that it almost makes it less fun, even if it's kind of presenting a challenge. So I can't just say like a game has to be a certain level of difficulty to be fun. It also has to have a certain level of gameplay engagement for me to be fun. Now, if it has, you take, let's say, dude, what did I just say? Just say it the correct way. You can beat Odyssey without hitting the jump button. Just say it. Just type that. Say it. Once in your life. Just be straightforward. Anyway. What was I saying? Oh. Let's say you have all this awesome moveset, like Super Mario 64 introduced. You got punching and kicking in that game. You have all this fun stuff to do. Now just enter the level and put a star 10 feet in front of Mario. Is that fun? Even though there's all this cool moveset. So that's kind of how they go hand in hand. You still have to present a challenge. Otherwise that great moveset's pointless. So they kind of go hand in hand. The more I'm talking about this, more I'm realizing challenge and gameplay engagement kind of go together. And if a game's too easy, it doesn't matter how cool the moveset is if there's no challenge to anything you do. Imagine, like I said, in Odyssey, if they took that Cappy jump away, then, Retro Death can't sit there and keep typing stupid shit. That'd probably be a good thing, but, somebody could make a video, and it probably has a lot of views because of one, what do you call that? Because the jump counter shows 0. That's kind of a glitch, to be honest. Exploit. Then this guy can make a video. You take that away, and no one's making videos about Astro's Playroom like that, because there's no dynamic gameplay to it. It's just everybody has to play it the same way. You have to jump, you have a single jump, you have a hover, and then you have a one attack. Yeah, you get in different suits, and those sections are actually, a couple of them are pretty fun. The bouncy spring ones are boring as hell, but no one's talking about Astro's Playroom because it's just everybody beats it the same way. Everybody plays it. There's no variations to what you can do. Yeah, there might be exploits where you can skip over a section. There's always the glitches and stuff or shortcuts people can find, but the basic gameplay isn't there. It doesn't matter how hard or easy it is. Maybe that's where a hard game, if it's super basic, but it's still very precise jumps, even though all you have is a single jump, that can kind of help make it at least interesting for me, is to have, all right, you only have a single jump, but we're going to place these blocks, these tiny blocks, spaced out. You have to jump perfectly. Maybe that would keep me playing for a little bit. That challenge might be like, all right, I'm going to conquer this type of thing. But overall, I kind of feel like there's got to be a good blend of both. And that's where, just getting back to Kirby, the Kirby games I've played are Planet Robobot, Rainbow Curse, Canvas Curse, the NES game, and Star Allies demo. So yeah, I don't have a big history with it. Planet Robobot got so boring with me after like 2 worlds. I was so bored. Star Allies was just like, what the fuck? Like, it's literally playing itself. I was just so freaking bored. I knew I was never gonna buy that game after that demo. The earlier parts of Crafted World are just so easy. Like, it doesn't keep me engaged when it's that easy. And I mean, 3D World, I love that game, but the first couple worlds are not challenging whatsoever just to get to the flagpole. So that's another one of those where you can make it more challenging. So, I mean, it's a big topic. There's a lot of angles, there's a lot of nuance. I mean, does the game, let's say the extra stuff in Kirby you find really fun, finding everything, you find that really, like searching the levels, floating around, you find that really engrossing. Like, there's nothing I'm going to say that should change your mind. You enjoy that, and that's great. For me, it did nothing. That stuff did nothing for me other than I felt like I was really wasting my time because I wasn't enjoying what I was doing to get there. Enter 3D World, and I'm having a blast. Yeah, they took away the triple jump for that game, but they added enough, cool stuff that the timer for me was a big part of 3D World's joy because, okay, I got to find the 3 green stars. I've got to find the stamp. Oh shit, I got to get to the flagpole. I got 20 seconds left now. Holy shit. Like, that to me all together worked. Now, for some people, that didn't click for you, or some people just play it. Goes. I know a guy, Derek Steelfox again. He beat Bowser the first time and turned the game off. Never touched it again on Wii U. Like, oh, I beat Bowser. I finished the game. I'm like, dude, you missed out on some. He's not a big fan of platformers, so I was like, you missed out on the best part of that game. And Retro Death, you're here. Well, it's post-game content. It doesn't count. It's all part of the package, man. I don't give a shit what you want to count that. If Nintendo added the second Bowser's World in level when it had the awesome music and stuff, they wanted you to play that. Like, they didn't just do that for no reason. Like, that's how you get the true ending. All right, then you're like, oh, I stopped there. I didn't play the special worlds. There, that's extra content. That's post-game content. Well, guess what? You played 80% of 3D World then. Like, you missed 2 amazing worlds and then 1 super challenging world. I can understand people not finishing Champions Road. Like, that's a frustratingly hard level, right? But all the other stuff was like, yeah, it was challenging, but at that point, you got that far, you should be pretty good at the game, but you realize, like, going online in Mario Kart, you weren't as good as you thought. You get to these other levels, but that's kind of an area where, you play it till you beat Bowser, you called it good. You didn't get top of the flagpole, you didn't get 3 stars in all the levels, but you consider that you completed it. I guess who am I to tell you that? Because that's kind of, you're choosing the difficulty of the game, what you wanted to experience. I would just encourage anybody who did that to say, hey, did you enjoy what the first 6 worlds? Yeah, you did? Okay. Just give them a chance, try it. You might not find it as fun as I did, but I truly believe that the games that do that, they want you to play that stuff. That's not just there for no reason. Like, they hope you're going to play it. And I guess I would count that as different than, like, somebody who beats Ganon with no clothes on with a tree branch or something. That's they probably never really intended anybody to beat it that way, but people can, and they do. And but when it comes to like 3D World, I feel like they put those levels in there probably more for the hardcore gamers. I don't expect younger gamers to play it, so I don't know. It's that one's kind of another topic in itself too. Like, where do you draw the line with, like what I told Robert, you really missed out on Ghost of Tsushima by not doing those optional like story missions that shouldn't have been optional because they were really good. But if you didn't enjoy the combat or the stealth, then would you enjoy that stuff? Probably not. Like, so you got to enjoy the core game if you're going to enjoy like the extra stuff. So that's kind of a little side extra thing, but yeah, I mean, I don't even consider that post game. That's just part of it's post credits, but the game doesn't end. I mean, what Mario game ends when you beat Bowser? Name one. Maybe the original, if you count, the last Bowser, but then you can play it, and it's like remixed. I'm correct, or is that might be thinking of Zelda? You can still go back and play it, and then you can find the warps. You can find all kinds of stuff. Technically, you beat Bowser, you beat the game, but you can still go back and play it. I always just count that as part of the whole game. I said that about Galaxy 2. It's not a complete separate mode where you get the green stars. You don't even have to beat Bowser to unlock the green stars and go back and play the levels. Technically, they're not there when you first get to the level, but Mario 64, when you start the first level, World 1-1, you can't go get the last star. You can't choose the last path. You have to do the first star first. I think there are some stars you can get out of order, but for the most part, you know, some of the levels change. You can't just play like in Sunshine. You can't just get the third star or third shine. You have to get the first two first. So in the same way as what you say about Galaxy 2, that you got to play the levels to unlock more levels, and in Galaxy 2 you got to play more of the game to unlock more of the game. So that's just kind of something Mario games do. I've honestly never count any Mario game done after beating Bowser. There's always stuff after that. 3D World or Super Mario World had the Star Road. New Super Mario Brothers, Wii and U had like a Star Road type thing. Donkey Kong Country has the special worlds and stuff. To me, that's all part of the game. So this, like I said, this is another discussion I just wanted to kind of organically fell into here because the retro's here. I count all that stuff as the whole game. That's just part of the game. So you don't have to play it all, but I still count that as, the whole game. I'm trying to think of another example, maybe more recent. Like I would say like Luigi's Mansion 3, there's nothing gained by getting all the gems and all that. So nothing changes. So once you beat the game there, yeah, you didn't 100% it and get all the collectibles, but it's not like new levels opened up. So anytime new levels open up at a certain point, whether you beat a boss or you get to a certain point, to me that's continues on the full game. So anyway, that's just something. I'm sure there's a bunch of games that would be a gray area where you couldn't say one or the other. There's a lot of games obviously that don't have levels base to them. So, open world games like Horizon Zero Dawn, you can't say, oh, this was post game, that was pre game. Everything's pre game, pre boss, because it saves. Got to remember not to scratch my stitches back there. Xenoblade Chronicles X, though, there's some post game. The game continues after you beat it. The world matches. That's, it doesn't just start back at your previous save file. The world changed. Things changed. But you continue to play. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I feel, is the same. Wait, is that the same? No. That ends, and then, that, what do they join up or whatever and form one continent? I can't remember what happens, but yeah, you can't just keep playing at that point. That would have been pretty impressive. Sorry if you didn't beat it yet, Retro. That was a pretty vague little thing that happens in the last 5 seconds, so hopefully you're not going to be too mad about that one. It has really nothing to do with the actual story ending, but it's just something that happened. Game's been out 5 years, so well, let's see, 2017, 4 years. Oh wait, 2017. Yeah, the end of this year will be 5, right? Yeah. It's the 5th year of the Switch is about to end and start year 6. So yeah, Xenoblade's only been out 4 years and a month. So yeah, sorry about that one, man. I forgot you didn't beat it. Or at least I think you didn't. Maybe you did. If you're still here, let me know. Did I just ruin something for you? I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I'm not a good judge of that stuff. So with that, I'm kind of looking forward to Pokemon Arceus. I don't know why. Reviews are going to be the make it or break it for me. Like, I don't need it to get 9. I just need to hear certain things in the review. I'm going to watch, I'm sure, Nintendo Life, Game Explain, Easy Allies. Hopefully we'll have one out relatively quickly. Who else reviews? I feel like there's one more. ACG? I don't think he'll review that game, though. I just need to hear some keywords. Maybe I don't even know what they are yet. I want to hear, fun gameplay for one. Great world to explore. I don't want to hear boring exploration. It doesn't have to have a lot of stuff in it, as long as what you are seeing, what you're doing is fun. I don't need towns everywhere, NPCs, but if you're just literally walking through open fields all the time and, oh, there's a Pokemon. It's got to be more than that. We'll see how the battle system is, story and all that, but I'm pretty intrigued by that game. And Kirby, I've been talking a lot about difficulty. All I need to hear is that there's some decent challenge, and that's a day one, if I hear it's it's a pretty good game. It's a run-of-the-mill Kirby game, but in 3D. I'm going to skip it. I'm curious. I'm going to go to Metacritic right now. I feel like, not really the score, but I do feel like simpler games tend to score lower. And I think it's because people are bored when it's easy. So Star Allies has a 73. Let's look up Planet Robot. I'm going to guess that is closer to 80. Kirby Planet Robot, 81. Now that was a pretty well received. That was probably one of the highest ones. So the score doesn't matter. The new one could have a 90, and if what I'm hearing and reading is, it's a very, very easy game to get to the end, but it's beautiful and blah blah blah. Probably not gonna get it, but let's look up Canvas or Triple Deluxe has a 80, Epic Yarn has a 86, so that's probably the highest. And I didn't even finish it. I was so bored. I mean, there were sections. I feel like there was a section where it became a car and stuff. It's oh, I didn't get all the gems that pass. Let me do it over. I really got bored with it. I think it could just be Kirby's core gameplay just isn't for me. But 3D changes everything, so I think 2D Kirby just doesn't do it for me. Whether would being more difficult change anything? I mean, I'm just being honest here. I don't know if being difficult would change anything with the core gameplay. I don't know. I think it's the core gameplay that's really the downer, but Crafted World I thought was trash, but the last like challenge level was actually really good, and I'm like, man, if the whole game was this. So I don't know. But anyway, I think I've said everything I got to say. It's 8:40. I could make it a 2 hour. How long we been going here? Hour and 35. I see Retro is out of the chat. He probably left. He's probably typing a paragraph. You motherfucker spoiled the game. I mean, I do feel bad but at the same time, when the hell are you gonna beat the game? At this rate, probably never. Same with Xenoblade Chronicles X. And what I said was such insignificant to. If you think the ending of that game is everybody dies, then yeah, you're gonna be bummed. But yeah, I think that's all I got. Appreciate everybody for watching. And I'm trying to decide what games I want to play. I started Dirt 5, pretty fun racing game. It was free. I finished Uncharted 3. I started the third DLC for Immortals called The Lost Gods, and it has a fixed like isometric top down. You can move it left to right, but you can't look up. And the thing, I thought it was cool. It has a really cool build your character moves. Like you have your sword attack. Well, you can add like different perks and stuff to it, and but it has you have to save manually. And I forgot, and I went like an hour, and I died, and I lost all my progress. I'm like, fuck this. Harry Potter games, I mean, the new one's coming out. The only one I ever played was on the Wii, and it was okay. They're not, from what I could tell, nothing special. So, yeah, I'm going to get out of here because I'm out of stuff. Like I was just talking about Immortals, the DLC. It's not as good as the other two. I got to get back into Hades. I got to play more Forza Horizon 5. My Game Pass, I'm probably a month in. And I played a little Psychonauts, and I played probably 15 hours into Forza. And I'm just like, it just reminds me, like, Game Pass is just not for me. I have no interest in just playing as many games as possible. I want to just play a great game and maybe have another option, something to mix it up. And I don't need to, like, I ain't gonna be done with Forza Horizon 5 in a month. So if I just paid monthly, I'm paying $15 a month, I'm gonna play one game at a time. It's like, I don't know, man. Terrell did a whole thing about it. I don't care if Sony did it or Nintendo did it. I just not into renting. I don't mind getting a free digital game with my membership. That's cool. That's how I played a few games last year. Nintendo. You get to play Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Definitive Edition, whatever it's called on Switch, for like a week. If you have a Nintendo Switch Online account, you get to play it for a week. So you could easily beat it in a day or two. I mean, I put 13 hours in the game and I 100%ed it, except the very last level I didn't beat on Wii U. So they're telling me that this port of a 2014 game that was $40 and probably still is, they're going to let you play it for a week for your membership, whether you've been subscribed for a month or the last 3 years. They're going to let you play it for a week and then take it away. Meanwhile, and I don't know about Xbox Live Gold because I don't have it. On PlayStation Plus, I just got Dirt 5, which came out last year. It's a full $60 game. Persona 5 Strikers, that's like within a year. That was a $60 game. A Plague Tale Innocence, PS5 version was $40. I got that earlier last year, or mid last year. They had, Virtua Fighter 5. Oddworld Day One, the new Oddworld, that's a $40 game. I downloaded that. Days Gone, which was 20 at the time. Final Fantasy VII Remake was 40 at the time. Downloaded that. Mortal Kombat X, whatever. That one was shit, but I downloaded it. And for non-members of PlayStation Plus, you got Horizon Complete Edition within the last year. And then a little before that, they also gave away the Nathan Drake Collection and Journey. That's within like the last, 14 months or whatever, or since COVID started, like around the time Animal Crossing came out. Plus, if you have a PS5 and you have PlayStation Plus, then you can download Monster Hunter World, Final Fantasy 15, Infamous, not Demon Souls. What's the Bloodborne, Last Guardian, Uncharted 4. Like I have all these games downloaded as part of my PlayStation Plus membership. Not just a week trial. Like as long as I have PlayStation Plus, I can play these games. Detroit Become Human's on there. Like all these full price games that were full priced, now they're cheaper, but they're all there. I download them, I can play them. A year from now, I get PlayStation Plus again, I can play those games. Yeah, I can't play them when I don't have the membership, but I don't have a week window to play them. So here comes Nintendo. Here's their plan. We're going to take this port of a 2014 game so we're not quite 6 years, 5 years and a few months after it released. And we're going to let you just try it. And if you like it, guess what? You're going to have to pay us $40 on the eShop because you're not going to find a physical copy of this game new because they didn't print enough. So you're going to have to pay $40 for a game they just let you try. Meanwhile, I just listed like 30 games in the less than 2 years, well, just under 2 years now for PlayStation. Well, I didn't have PlayStation Plus. I've only had it now a year. So in that time span, I've gotten I can download and play like 30, 40 games. It's like that's just a comparison. $60 a year versus 20. So anyway, I'm rambling. People leaving, so I'm gonna get out of here. Nintendo hatred scares people away. I'm hoping for a good year from Nintendo this year, though. So with that, I'm sure Clocked It will set me straight on something I said wrong, or Robert Retro. Sorry again if I ruined that for you. But play your damn games, man. So we'll see you guys next time.